Hi. This is going to be a quick tutorial on using the Run Chart template that you can download from your Module 5 instructions for the Run Chart assignment. It has a few quirks, and I thought if we did it together, it might be easier for you to see what's going on. I'm going to make sure we're recording, which we are. Now I'm going to share my screen with you. Take a second here to do that. It'll look a little weird for a minute, but then there you go. That's what it will look like when you open the template. You'll see there already are some numbers there, but I made up 30 fictitious numbers, as I sometimes do, and I'm going to add those. But first of all, in this column, you're going to either put the date that you collected each observation or each value on your phone, or you can just number 1 through whatever number of values that you collected. I'm made up 30, so I'm going to select these that were already there and just take the easy way out and number 1 through 30 that way. In this column is where you will put the values that you're going to copy out of your spreadsheet that you use to create your mobile app. Every time you enter data into your mobile app, it should have shown up on that spreadsheet automatically. You did not have to enter it by hand. If you run into any problem with your data, get with me as soon as possible so we can see how to solve that. But you should have no trouble opening up the app sheet or the Google Sheets where you created your app sheet mobile app. So let's see. These data, again, were those that were already in there. I'm going to highlight that first cell and then try to paste the data that I had added, and there they are. I just made these up. There's nothing about them that is real. They're just fake. What I did next was I took only the first 10 observations, and I called these, because they're fake, I called them my pre-intervention data. You will have collected data before you started your intervention, and those will be your pre-intervention data. And I don't know how many data points you will have collected, but for my example here, I'm only saying that I collected 10. At this point, I look at those first 10 values, 1 through 10, and those I need to calculate a median for. And medians can be done by hand, and there are several good Google videos on how to find your median, but basically it's the point that is exactly halfway between the lowest value in your series and the highest. So my series goes from 2 to 7. No, I'm sorry, 1 to 7. So I would arrange my values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so forth, and then look right in the middle and see what the value was that would fall in the middle there. And I can tell you, because I'd already done that my median for these first 10 is 4. So I'm going to clear that column. I'm going to add the number 4. And I'm going to select 4 and grab that little gadget right here at the bottom right-hand corner of that cell and pull down, and it's going to put 4s in all of the places. So what I have now are the number of my fictitious day number 1, day number 2, up to day number 30 that I collected data, and then here are the values that I collected each one of those days. The first 10 days, I calculated a median, which was 4, but I put in 4 as the median all the way through the series, because what I'm asking is, before I started my intervention, I'm considering this my baseline or just my normal day-to-day values for this, whatever it was I was collecting. And I'm going to say it was how many glasses of water I drank in a day. After I started my intervention, I'm still going to put in the same median because I want to compare my values after the intervention to what the median or the typical day would have been before the intervention. So over here, you'll see that this template automatically created your graph. You don't have to do anything else. It's done for you. There are some text boxes here that you can use. And what you could do is you just highlight, well, let me get that. You highlight the text in there and then add, I'm going to put intervention started. Make that box pretty small so I can move it around a little bit. And I might put it down here. Now, there's some extra text boxes here that they've given me, but I don't want them, so I'm going to get rid of them. But you may find that you have something else you want to label on your graph. Now, I'm going to say the intervention started. Whoops. I got to grab that little gadget there. And it started on day 11. So now I know what day my data actually started being post-intervention data. Now I can change the labels here. And these are days. So days 1 through 30 were on the x-axis. Sometimes to get to change the text on your graph box, I have to click outside of it and then go back and click inside, and then it lets me do what I want to do. So I'm going to erase that, and now these are going to be glasses of water. And then up here, whoop, click outside and go back in. This one's given me trouble before. So what I may do is just get rid of the whole thing and put my own in. I'm going to insert a text box, and I'm going to say intervention to increase water. Something like that, whatever you're going to put on yours. Okay, I've labeled it, I've given it a title. I now have the median, which you'll notice is the same across the entire series. I've got 30 data points. I've got the number of days. The next thing I need to do is to circle or indicate or mark my runs. And I'm just going to use shapes. I'm going to go to insert shapes, and I'm going to use a box. Before I do that, there's one other thing I have to notice, and that is that it's real important in counting your runs that you ignore the points that fall on the median. 1, 2, 3, 4 times I have a value from my series that falls exactly on the median. I need to ignore those points, and pretend they're not there before I start to count my runs. And I'll explain how that's going to work here in just a second. But in my values, I had 1, 2, 3, 4 times that I actually had a number exactly on the median. And if you hover over one of these dots, you'll see that it tells you where it was in the series, point number 3, and its value was 4. So you can go over any point and see where you are. All right, I said I wanted to insert a box. So now I'm going to insert my box, and I need to make it no fill so that I can see what's in it. And I'm going to say that this is my first run. I'm ignoring this one, remember, pretending it's not even there. So I just have 3 points on the same side of the median. In this case, the same side is beneath it. So that's one run. Now, whoop, 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 whoop. Want to copy my box there and move it up here for the next run. A run is consecutive points on the same side of the median. Okay, here's 3 consecutive points. They're all on the same side or above the median. There's no median point in there, so that's my second run. Now I'm going to get me a small box and go up here, and this time I only have 1 point in this run because the next point was on the median. I have to ignore it. Now I have a bunch of these over here. I've got to ignore this, so I'm ignoring that one, and that one. So that means all these points here are on the same side of the median. Probably made that a little big. Now let me see if I can fit this over here. I made it a little big, so let me make it smaller that way and larger this way. Okay, now that's not on the median. That's not those. Okay, so all of these were on the same side of the median, and I'm ignoring the points that were on the median. Let me put my next run in. It's going to be kind of small. So there you go. That's that one. Then the line crossed and is now above the median. So all of these are above the median. Oops, that little box has got to get a little. Okay. Now drag that down a little bit that way and a little bit that way. Okay. I now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 runs in my data. And it's time for me to do some analysis to see if these data can be considered random or if there is pattern there that tells me that my intervention may have worked. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that it's real clear to anybody looking that which points are in there. And that one is a little close there. And let me get that. So be real careful when you turn your paper in that I can see for sure which points are in each run, because that's important. I didn't do anything with goals over here. This is the goal line, and it's fine if you have a goal, you can put it in. I never reached the goal on my fictitious data, but you might want to do that for yourself. In this column, the end where the median goes, you really don't need to do anything because it automatically mapped the median to go across the whole series. So you don't really need to do anything there. But what you do need to do is be sure that you're reading these as these are your instructions, and I'm not reading them to you because I'm telling you some of them, but be sure to go back and always check that. Now, my rules for interpreting what I just did are here. The assumption is that the data were random, that those first 10 days were just random, and that randomness went ahead and went across the whole series even after I did my intervention. So we're going to test to see if that is statistically correct. So you've got a lot of reading here you'll do it. I'm going to sort of quickly go through here and show you the main things. First thing we're going to do is look for shifts. That is 6 or more consecutive points that are above or below the median. In other words, they're on the same side of the median. 6 or more that are consecutive points. let's go back and look. Do I have a box here that that contains 6 or more all on the same side? Well, this is my biggest one here. Let's count how many are there. 1, 2, 3, 4. I ignore this one. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow, that one has 10 points that are on the same side of the median. That's great. That definitely makes the cut for as being a shift. And I just noticed that that needs to come down because it looks like it included that one on the median. Okay, so I've got a shift here. Let's see how many points here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that one's got enough too. Both of these have 6 or more points that are on the same side of the median, and they're consecutive points because we've ignored the ones that fell on the median. All right, we got a shift. We actually had 2 shifts. Let's look if we have any trends, which are 5 or more consecutive that either are all increasing or all decreasing, not bouncing around, but all going in the same direction, which would be up or down. So let's look and see. That bounce, here's, well, oh goodness, I keep having to adjust my little box there. Okay, that's just 3. That's just 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it goes down, so that's not going to count. So let's look here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it's the same, so that's not increasing. That won't work. 1, 2, 3. Okay, I don't see any trends on my data at all. The next thing is, are there too many or too few runs for just common cause or randomness? So random, let me show you the table. Random series have a certain upper and lower limit for the number of runs they can contain if they're just simply random. Now, let's stop a minute and remember how many, it says here, count the useful values only and ignore those equal to the median, because I'm going to use a table that tells me how many observations, and this is how many runs these two, the upper and lower number of runs that I counted. Well, let's go back and review. I had 1, 2, 3, 4 of my 30 that were on the median, so I only had 26 useful values. So I look on this table, and there's 26 observations, and did my number of runs fall between 9 and 18 as they would if it were random? No, I had 6. It's way below the lower limit. So it's telling me that is not a random series if it had 6 runs in 26 observations. And over here is some good language that you can use when you're writing your paper about what this means. If there are fewer runs, in our case it was fewer, but could have been more, we have a signal that our change has made a difference in the process. Well, I did. I had 6. You may not. Yours may fall between these two numbers, and if it does, you have to conclude, well, your data set is random even after your intervention. So be sure you read all this very carefully as you're writing up your paper. Now let's go back, and one thing I didn't do is verify that I have the right number of runs. And here's the rule of thumb. You count the number of times that the series crossed the median. In other words, the line goes from above to below or below to above. So it goes, crossed it there, it crossed it there, it crossed it here, it didn't cross there, it crossed it here and here. So let's see how many times that was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rule of thumb is count the number of times your series crossed the median and add 1. So it was 5 plus 1, that's 6. I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 runs, so I'm right. Okay, folks, that's how to use the template. If you have any problems, reach out to a student who can help you if you can't reach me, or give me a call. I'll be around all weekend and in and out. So leave me a message if you don't reach me. And be sure, here's another little box thing that doesn't look like it covered all the dots correctly. So be real careful that you don't, this thing doesn't crawl around on you and you end up looking, I think that's what's happening. I move the series in such a way that my box here moves, and that's great as an example of what to watch for in your own paper. You want to make sure that however you have designated your runs, they do not include something that's on the median, and they do include all the appropriate boxes. So check just before you turn it in to make sure it didn't crawl around on you like mine just did. All right, we're going to stop sharing and say goodbye.